3 of our 7 days of crochet, which is my gift to all of you to say thank you for another great year. So this is the bag for today. The hint was you might want to stay out of the water. So let's open it up and see if any of you guessed it correctly. I'm really curious at this point. I obviously have to film this all in advance. I'm dying to know as of now. If any of you have gotten the theme yet. So there is today's bag. Let's pop that open. Oh dear, a paper bag was probably not the best place to keep this. So today we are making a piranha. Let's get into it. And don't forget to watch to the end to get a hint as to what we are making on day 4. Okay, so just as a quick reminder of the tools and materials you will need for today's project, you're going to need 8-ply 100% acrylic yarn, and we'll talk about colours in just a moment. You will need a pair of 9mm safety eyes, some polyester stuffing or yarn scraps to stuff your fish, a 3.5mm hook, scissors, some bobby pins or stitch markers to act as stitch markers, and a needle and a little bit of white yarn to sew on some additional details. You're going to need your yarn in 4 main colours. So to start with, we've got a very soft peach or orangey type colour, and then we have 2 tones of green or blue, so like a light or mid tone and a darker tone. You are also going to need a very small amount of white. For our little piranha today, we are going to start in our dark colour, and we will be using this for the tail and fins, but we are just going to start by making 2 little fins first. We are going to start by chaining 3. Like so. I'm then going to turn, and starting in the second chain from my hook, I'm going to work a half double crochet. So how we work that is yarning over our hook once, inserting our hook into the stitch, yarning over and pulling up a loop. So you've got 3 loops on your hook. You're then just going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Hopefully without dropping it like I just did. So that's our half double crochet, and then we are literally just going to finish off. That's it. We're going to skip the final chain. Trim that off there. Now what I suggest you do is grab a stitch marker or a bobby pin and just mark that chain we're not using today. So that's that first chain that we did, and that's where we're going to attach it to the body later. You can now take this end and weave it through your fin back to that starting point as well. So there is our first little fin, and now we need to make another one. With both of those little fins made, we are going to move on to the main fillet of our fish. Okay, so for the main body of our fish, we're going to start in our orange. And quite fittingly, this is the leftover yarn from that giant raptor I made a few months ago. So we are going to start with a magic ring of 6. Then in row 2, we are going to work 3 repeats of a single crochet, and then 3 single crochet all into the same stitch. So that's our first repeat, and we're going to do that twice more to bring our stitch count up to 12. And what you might notice is that it encourages your piece to have like a loose triangular kind of shape to it. There we are. In row 3, we're going to start in our orange, but then we'll be changing to our mid-tone. So start by working 2 single crochet. And the next stitch is an increase. So we'll work the first single crochet of that increase. And yes, I do invisible increases, which means the first stitch goes through the front loop only. And then in the second stitch of that increase, we're going to change colors. So I'm going to insert my hook through the stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. So 2 loops of my old color on the hook. Hold that out of the way. Grab a strand of the color I'm changing to. Pinch it at the base of the stitch. Yarn over and pull through both loops. And then just tug on these tails to settle the stitch down. So what that does is it gives you the finished increase in your old color, and your new color is now on your hook, ready to go. So working in this mid-tone, we are going to be working in the back loops only. So looking down at our stitch, you'll note that there are 2 loops for every stitch, and normally you insert your hook through both. But when we're working through back loops only, we insert our hook only through the stitch at the back of the work. So working in those only, we are going to work 3 single crochet. Then 3 single crochet all into the same stitch. And then we're going to work 3 single crochet, changing back to our orange in the 3rd stitch. So that's 2 in our blue. And then this 3rd one will be a color change. So exactly the same way as we did before, except this time I'm just pulling that orange across the work. You could also have worked over the top of it if you prefer. And finish the color change. So once again, I have orange back on my hook. Now we are going to be alternating between these 2 colors for the next couple of rows to build up a little bit of an orange belly patch on our Piranha. So I'm not going to be trimming off either color at this point. I'm going to be carrying them under with me or just pulling them across like you saw me do there. So to finish row 3 in our orange, we are going to work an increase, and then a single crochet. For row 4, it starts with 4 single crochet, changing to our blue in the 4th stitch. So that's 3, and then in this 4th one, we'll change back to our green, or blue, or whatever I'm calling it. Blue, blue. Change back to our blue. Now this time in our blue, we are working through both loops as per normal, and we're going to work 4 single crochet, 3 single crochet all into the same stitch, and then 4 single crochet, changing back to our orange in the 4th stitch. So that's 3, and then changing back to our orange. And then work 3 single crochet back to the start of our round. So that's what our chompy little piranha mouth should look like at the moment. In row 5, we are going to work an increase, and then 3 single crochet, changing back to our blue in the 3rd stitch. I'm really sorry if I keep calling this color green and then I keep calling it blue. You should know that in person, it's green blue. They always tend to the camera tends to pick a side and make me look like I can't tell what colors are, but this is definitely on the turquoisey kind of green-blue spectrum. We are then going to work 5 single crochet, then 3 single crochet all into the same stitch, and then we're going to work 6 single crochet down this side, changing back to our orange in the 6th stitch. Now, to work 6 stitches instead of 5 there might seem counterintuitive, but what we're actually doing is adjusting for the steady spiral of stitches, because I do work in a continuous spiral, and just working 6 here instead of 5 helps keep that color marking in the right area. So you can see that there. There's still a slight difference between the 2 sides, but it's a lot better than if I'd had this stitch orange too. This would have been zigging up at an angle we wouldn't really want it to. And then it is just 2 orange single crochet to get us back to the start of our round. So we are nearly done working up this orange patch now. So in row 6, we start with a single crochet and then an increase, and you'll note when I'm carrying these colors under, just as something you might find interesting, when I'm carrying these colors under, I don't necessarily work it under every single stitch, which can show through on the outside depending on your tension. Instead, I just sort of do it every sort of 3rd or 4th stitch, and the rest of the time I just leave it sort of loose inside. That stops it being pulled tight across the middle, but also means that it doesn't show on the outside of your work. We are then going to work 3 orange single crochet, changing back to our blue in the 3rd stitch. In our blue, we are going to work 6 single crochet. Then 3 single crochet all in the same stitch. And 8 single crochet down the side, changing back to our orange in the 8th stitch. It is then just 1 orange stitch to finish our round. Leading us to row 7, which is the last row with any of this orange in it. So we are going to work 5 single crochet, changing to our blue in the 5th stitch. And that is the end of our orange, but I won't chop it off until the end of the row. Instead, I'm going to work over it for a couple of stitches just to stop it from unraveling. So I'm going to work 16 single crochet in our blue. Like so. And in the next stitch, we're actually going to attach our first little fin. So grab one of the 2 fins that we made earlier, and I'm going to remove my marker at this point, but leave yours in as long as is useful to you. So the first thing I'm going to do is just untangle myself from this orange. Then I'm going to grab my little fin and I'm going to insert my hook through that chain that we marked at the start of it, and then into the next stitch of the body. I'm going to yarn over and pull up a loop through both layers, and then yarn over and complete my single crochet. And just make sure that your fin's yarn tails are just tucked nicely through to the inside of your piranha. And there is his first little fin attached. Then we're just going to work 2 single crochet to finish off our row. And at this point, I am going to trim off my orange just because I keep getting tangled in it. It is time. So starting row 8, we work 6 single crochet, which should get us around the bottom of that belly. And we're going to attach his second fin in the next stitch. So inserting our hook first through that marked chain, and then into the next stitch of the body, and work our single crochet through both layers. So now he can use his flippers to get down. We are then going to work 17 single crochet back to the start of our row. So that's where we are at the end of row 8, and you should have 24 stitches in your round. Now I am going to stop and insert my eyes at this point. So I've got my eyes here, and the eyes go into row 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4, in the corners of the mouth. So the mouth isn't this whole orange piece, it's literally just where you can see those spare loops around the outside. That's where I'm putting that one. And that's where I'm putting the other one. Do try to keep in mind that we will be sewing on some little white teeth around this mouth, so try and leave some room for those. Don't have your eyes directly on top of it. But otherwise there's no real wrong answers here. Okay, I'm happy with those now. I am going to pop my backs on. And yes, I do this backwards. It means that I get 2 full pops on these little eyes, and that feels way more secure to me than getting just one. Please feel free to do it however you're comfortable. Cool. So now we are going to carry on working just in our blue, and we're going to work 2 rows of 24 single crochet around for a combined total of 48 stitches. Like so. And now I regret to inform you that we will be working more color changes because we need to build up 2 little fins at the back as well as a tail. Now, the way I do this is going to look wrong to you until it's done. I am asking you to trust the process, okay? Now the way... No. The camera stopped recording. Okay, well, that's unfortunate, but the camera stopped working, so back we go. And there begins our tale. In row 11, which we are now starting again, we are going to start building up the tail, which means you need to have your darker color available to you. Mine is now a little bit of a mess, but that's okay. We can live with that. So we are going to start by working 15 single crochet in our blue, and that's going to take the form of working 14 single crochet and then changing to our dark color in the 15th stitch. So that's 14 there. And now in this one here, we are going to attach in our dark blue. We are then, and I am so sorry for this, going to work just one stitch in this dark blue, changing back to our regular blue. We are then going to work 8 single crochet in our blue. And note that I'm working over the top of my dark blue to bring it around to the bottom, because we are going to be having a little fin at the top and a little fin at the bottom, so we'll need it down here next. And there we are at the end of row 11. In row 12, it starts with 3 single crochet in our blue, changing to our dark blue in the 3rd stitch. So 1, 2, and then a color change. We are then going to work 3 stitches in our dark blue, changing back to our regular blue in the 3rd stitch. Like so. So far this row we've worked 3 stitches in our regular blue and 3 stitches in our dark blue. We are then going to work 7 single crochet, changing back to our dark blue in the 7th stitch. Now this is going to look super off to one side to you because that's where we did our dark stitch in the last row and this is where we are now. That's intentional. So work 6 stitches in your dark blue, changing back to your light blue in the final stitch. Then it is just 5 single crochet in our regular blue to get back to the start of our round. And there we are at the end of row 12. Row 13 starts with 2 single crochet in our regular blue, changing to our dark blue in the 2nd stitch. We are then going to work 5 single crochet in our dark blue, changing back to our regular blue in the 5th stitch. Here we go, and we color change. You can of course work all of this in the same color. Honestly, it would probably simplify it a little bit. Then work 6 single crochet in your regular blue, changing back to your dark blue in the final stitch. And then in our dark blue, we are going to work 7 single crochet, changing back to our regular blue in that 7th stitch. Then it is just 4 single crochet back to the start of our row. So your round should still have 24 stitches in it, but you'll see we've got this little dark patch on top and this smaller dark patch underneath. And at this point we are going to stop and stuff our little fish. There's some stuffing I prepared earlier. Normally I'd try to avoid letting you know that the camera cut out, but I'd already cut my yarn off and so I had to, continuity had to have an explanation. It's just one of those things. So I want you to stuff all the way up to the top. Not overly stuffed, there's still a lot of squish there. Then take your nearest convenient poking implement and just poke down where each of those colour patches are, allowing us room to squish those areas flat because that's how we'll be forming the fins. And we're going to do that right now in row 14. So the first stitch of row 14 is a single crochet, changing back to our dark blue. We are then going to work just 1 dark blue single crochet, And then we're going to skip the next 5 stitches. So that is basically the next 5 stitches are all in our dark blue, and we're going to skip them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the next stitch we're going to work into, but we're still going to insert our hook from the outside of the work the way we have been this whole time, because if you insert it from the inside of the work, you're going to it's going to look wrong. It's just like that's no, you insert your hook from the outside. So we insert the hook from the outside, and we're going to work a color change back to our regular blue. And you'll see what that's done is pinch in the bottom of our fishy and formed this little fin. We are then going to work 4 single crochet in our regular blue, changing back to our dark blue in the 4th stitch. That's 3, and this is the 4th. And now we're going to form the top fin. So we work 1 single crochet in our dark blue, then skip 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Then once again, inserting our hook from the outside of the work like normal, we are going to work a single crochet, changing back to our regular blue. Then it is just 3 single crochet back to the start of our round. So that is the body and the top and bottom fin of our little piranha. And now all we have to do is build out the tail. And as you can probably tell from how much yarn I have here, we are very nearly done with our regular blue. So in row 15, we start with 2 single crochet in our regular blue, changing to our dark blue in the 2nd stitch for the last time. So I was more efficient with my yarn this time around apparently, because there was a lot more left, but it doesn't really matter. So there is that. We are then going to insert 3 single crochet all into the same stitch, and that should all fall in that little bridging stitch where we skipped all those stitches in the last round. So there, like that. We are then going to work 5 single crochet up the side, which should bring us back to our other little bridging stitch across where we skipped those 7 stitches. And we're going to once again put 3 single crochet all into that same stitch. Then it's just 3 single crochet back to our starting point. Just tuck that away inside. Now I would like to point out that this is already a perfectly fine, very little tail for your piranha. For our piranha today, we are growing out a larger tail, but you can choose to stop wherever you feel it looks right for your fish. So we're going to work 2 more rows today, but you can stop whenever you feel that your tail is large enough. So row 16 starts with 3 single crochet, then we're going to work 3 half double crochet all into the same stitch. Now we did use half doubles on our fins, but just in case that was a really long time ago, we're going to yarn over our hook, insert it into the stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. So that's a half double crochet, and we're going to do 2 more of those in that stitch. For 3 in total. We're then going to work 3 single crochet, one slip stitch, 3 single crochet, which should bring you to the top of the tail, and once again in that stitch we are going to put 3 half double crochet. 1, 2, 3. We are then going to work 3 single crochet back down the side, and a slip stitch to end that row. So once again, it's a natural stopping point if you would like to. We are going to go for 1 more round. So row 17 starts with 3 single crochet, then 3 half double crochet. Now these are not all in the same stitch, we're just putting 1 stitch into each of the stitches from the previous round. Then 3 single crochet, 1 slip stitch, 3 single crochet, 3 half double crochet, 3 single crochet, and a slip stitch. and finish off leaving a fairly long tail because we have a use for this yarn now. So that's what your tail currently looks like, kind of like the open end of a balloon. And there is the rest of our piranha. Grab your needle and thread the end of that yarn onto it. And all we're going to do is flatten the sides of this tail down, and we're just going to sew it shut. Now I'm going to do it in a very specific way, but I don't know if it makes any actual difference, okay? So grain of salt, if you have a different way you like to do it, please do it that way instead. But I'm just going to work from the middle to the top here, working my needle through just those front loops on the outside of the stitches. First one side, and then the other. Then the other, kind of like lacing a shoelace. So then still from the inside to the outside of that top front loop. So it's our fin half closed off. And then just going to insert my needle down, back out through the middle, and we're going to work from the middle down to the other side. Piranhas are kind of like quicksand, right? I have been led to believe as a child that they were going to be way more of a threat in my life than they actually turned out to be, because it turns out that they don't actually really attack people. Very often they'll have a nibble, but they very, very rarely cause any kind of real damage. In fact, they're omnivorous, they're not even carnivorous. So while we've got this on our needle, you can also take that moment to sew up the top and bottom fins. So they are very, very small, obviously. But we'll just thread back through the tail. And we'll do the same thing here. That's the thing, it doesn't really matter how you do a thing, as long as you do that thing consistently, it should all look like it's supposed to be that way. And if you want to, you can also sew through the body, just to, like along this edge here where we did our color changes, just to give a little bit more definition to the fin. I don't think that actually makes any kind of real difference in the short term, but in the long term you might find it holds its shape slightly better. Yeah, so just one little stitch there, and then we'll go back up, and I'm gonna fix up the top fin in the same way. It's kind of a reference to the shark we made last year. I'm a sucker for meat-eating fish, I guess. There we go. Now, they're a very nice little fish at this point, and they're just a little bit crooked, right? So I'm just going to take my fins and scrunch them around a little bit until they sit right. It's the nature of this kind of fin. So we just need to make them a little bit more piranha-y. So with a little bit of white on my needle here, I'm going to use these little spokes of orange that you should be able to see from where we worked in the back loops only. And I'm going to turn those into little teeth just by stitching white over the top. So there we go, now we've got some cute little teeth. I'm also just going to go through, and I think I'm going to add some little whites to his eyes as well. Just because I think he's a cutie pie and he deserves the cutie pie treatment. There we go. Trim off your ends, tuck them away. And there is our little piranha. So, our hint for day 4. Okay, first of all, the colours you're going to need for day 4 are grey and white. And second of all, okay, your hint for day 4 is that there are four different kinds of this particular creature, and I managed to pick the one that doesn't technically match the theme. Okay, bye!